welcome to Mixed Tag Mayhem. My name is Tom, and I have Kimberly here, and we're both right for Monkeys Fighting Robots. And first off, for our first show, we're going to be starting off with pay-per-view tonight for Money in the Bank. Do a slight little preview and predictions here. First off, on the card, we have the Money in the Bank women's ladder match, which we have Ember Moon, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, Natalya, Lana, Naomi, and Sasha Banks. So what do you think of this, how it came together, and what do you think is going to come
I
out?
think a decent card of 8 women is solid. This is the second time they've been doing the Money in the Bank match, which I think is really cool. Definitely a plus on the side for the women's revolution that's going on in the WWE right now. How many of these women have actually been in the Money in the Bank match before that they were there last year? I know Natalya was. I believe Lana. Who else? I think it was Becky.
I know this is Ember Moon's first one since being called
yeah,
up
absolutely.
on the roster.
Yeah, definitely a boost to the roster from the NXT line.
I think Alexa Bliss was champion at the time maybe at this point. Either that or Sasha Banks, I'm not sure, but they were near the top of the card around that time. But any shocks of who didn't make it to the Money in the Bank that you thought should have?
I really thought one of the Absolution girls would have been in. They're really giving a good push to Sonya Deville. I think she's a solid competitor. She's really good in the ring. She's okay on the mic, but she really does have a lot of energy, and she really is fun to watch. I was kind of surprised that she wasn't chosen. What about you? Any thoughts on who you thought should have been in?
I think Mandy Rose deserved also a decent chance as well. I mean, she's got the look as well, but yeah, Sonya Deville I think was the biggest shock for me, mainly because the more marketability she could probably, given her previous MMA background, I think it would be a definite great early feud that they could put her up with Ronda Rousey. Which we'll get to later on, of course, since she's on the card as well. And I would have thought maybe it might have been too soon, but maybe one of the Iconics could have maybe gotten a little shot too, but they just recently got called up.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I guess it's understandable.
Yeah, that's true. That would have actually been a good curveball to throw in, just to throw in the newbies in, really fast. I mean, yeah, they've got Ember Moon, and Ember Moon again is a solid competitor. She's really, really fun to watch in the ring. I was a little surprised. They're really not doing much with Bayley these days, and I kind of thought maybe she would have been in this match, but she's been doing a lot of losing lately. So I kind of not quite sure what they're doing with her in the future, but she's not in the spotlight like she used to be.
I thought that the potential for a feud against Sasha Banks was completely squandered. They really built that up, and then nothing, because they just made up.
Yes.
It's just weird. I mean, in the very least, I would like to have seen a payoff, at least one of those two make a heel turn. I would have loved to see Bayley just do kind of the reverse. And I mean, heel turns are kind of, for well-known faces, it's kind of a mixed bag in certain respects. I mean, even when like Steve Austin, he was when he did the old two-man power trip, it was even hard for the audience when he turned and sided with Mr. McMahon, that they still cheered on and did the followed up with the what gimmick and everything. So I'm sure that Bayley could pull it off, but I don't know if the fans would believe her unless she did some truly heinous things. And even still, like Shinsuke Nakamura, fans are still up for him, and they're loving his heel gimmick.
Right.
So it's kind of fickle what the WWE crowd is. But, I mean, I'm sure they'll come up with something down the line. It's just kind of a shame what they're doing to her. And we'll talk about... Oh, speaking of which, another person I'm not noticing up that, yeah, I think someone who's in the card, but I'm kind of disappointed that they've been treating as late as Asuka, but we'll get to that later as well.
Yeah.
So let's transition over to the men's side. We have Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, The Miz, Rusev, Bobby Roode, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and one of the three from the New Day. Either be Big E, Kofi Kingston, or Xavier Woods. Always got to keep that mystery in there, right? So, how do you think of the card that this got put up for the men's side?
Another solid one. I'm very happy to see Bobby Roode get a push. Was happy to see him come over to the Raw side, do a little more action, I think. Definitely interested to see what Finn Balor's gonna do. Finn Balor, because everybody pronounces it differently. But can anybody stop Braun Strowman right now? The man is a Mack truck, and he is just rolling through people like crazy. I really think he's gonna be the one that's gonna run away with it.
Yeah, I think he is an early favorite, and they got to be careful how they book him because he already kind of he single-handedly ruined a division, and I wouldn't fault the tag teams involved doing that and making him strong, but it really it hurt more than it helped.
Agreed.
Personally, and given the past matchups between Finn Balor, Miz, Bobby Roode, and doing those triple threat and match and fatal four-way matches definitely did help with the build-up along with Rusev. They all had experience all together. I think the only ones that haven't been in the mix as much together, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, the New Day, definitely interesting factors. Rusev was also thrown in the mix too with the aforementioned four, so that should be an interesting dynamic. I think, Strowman's easily the favorite, but I think Samoa Joe also probably is the next favorite on there simply because it's hard to pull him down even after he did the job to Roman Reigns. He's just the guy. He's got way better mic skills.
Oh, absolutely.
He's probably, as far as is he part of the Anoa'i family? Or is it
no, I don't believe so, because I believe somebody asked Roman Reigns about that recently, and he said, no, I don't think they are. No, I don't think he's part of the Samoan dynasty, that's what we want to call it. So.
Well, as far as just the intensity in the frame, and obviously he doesn't have the mouthpiece that Umaga had, I could definitely see him being kind of that mold and being pushed to that, but the competition's crowded up there, so it may take a little more time, but I do definitely see him, and I honestly think that it would be way better for him to be the Universal Champion than, say, Brock Lesnar, but that's a debate for
Oh,
later.
Yeah, definitely. Which is the due date do you think they're going to pick? I mean, are we going to get an answer on SmackDown on Tuesday, or are they literally going to wait right before the match and say, who?
It's going to be at the last minute thing, but honestly, given how everyone else had to kind of fight for their spots, it's kind of a crap shot that it is any one of those three that could be picked.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird stipulation to say, well, one of you can go. You guys pick. What? All right.
Yeah, I mean, easily. I mean, Kofi and Xavier interchangeable, but I think it's more of a chance of Big E getting in, and then Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods have an equal chance. So 50 and then 25-25 for Kofi and Xavier. So next up we have the WWE Championship match, third matchup with AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. Well, third WWE match for the pay-per-view. So they've had an interesting rivalry coming up. I think they've feuded since New Japan Pro Wrestling, and of course, since I don't think they showed any of the clips from then, even though WWE sometimes brings up like other promotions slightly as far as like the past compilations, but for this one they build up their own, and they've had intense back and forth, and Shinsuke hasn't really come out a clear winner because they made him more like a need to cheat to win type competitor, which kind of takes away from his talent, but I guess it's understandable the need. And I did like his new gimmick where in the interviews he just says, sorry, don't speak English. It's just something really great about that. So, for this last man standing match, who do you think would come up in this one?
I think that's AJ. And I've been disappointed with their past matchups. I've been waiting for a blockbuster match between these two since WrestleMania. But they've kind of disappointed, and that frustrates me because they're both such great competitors, and they're both such great characters. I'm a big AJ Styles fan. I love seeing him on top. It could be a good twist to throw it to Shinsuke just for a little while, just to say, hey, maybe we're not gonna keep, giving the title back to AJ. But the low blows are something I wasn't expecting to see in the WWE again anytime soon. Especially as prevalent as they've been with these two. The knee to face is kind of funny, and the whole not speaking English. and Shinsuke really isn't that great on the mic. And is it a language barrier? Don't know. An accent thing, not sure. But it is funny. And it is funny. And
yeah, he is able to speak, say, more than Asuka,
sure.
But as far as the feud goes, I think I kind of agree. It's been kind of weak. Matchups, yeah. Obviously it's hard to top their WrestleMania match, but this story, as far as the back and forth and what Shinsuke had to do in the feud, kind of makes him particularly look weak. In the respect that, the great build-up of a great feud is that AJ and Shinsuke are both familiar with one another, but it would be such a great thing for the heel to have they did play up a psychological angle, but it'd be nice if Shinsuke was isolated apart and hurt him, and the injury angle for the babyface is always something great to pull off, and the whole not knowing if they can overcome it, that's always something great to build. Even if it's back and forth on the mic, that's one thing, but having something to go for with that. Now, it just kind of been with each match going by and the result, it just kind of has been underwhelming as each build, and I hope that this match kind of exceeds the expectations, but I don't know. It's easily to see that AJ retains on this because I don't think that they see Shinsuke as a marketable champion, even though they have him win the Rumble, and it was kind of unusual that both Rumble winners at WrestleMania lost. So
yeah, I found that odd too.
Yeah, but I'd be shocked if Shinsuke came away with the title, but I'd see AJ coming out again, and it's just sad for what they're doing for Shinsuke. As much as they try to help him out and everything, I just don't think they see him as that. So another title match we have coming up is Nia Jax versus Ronda Rousey. Now, this is WWE logic again, and any goodwill they had towards Nia Jax, they obliterated because of this feud, and because the whole bullying thing and Alexa Bliss, and it's just okay, we're gonna forget about that now, and we're gonna make Jax into this monster again, and we got Rousey, and this whole fish out of water thing, and the usual expectation for the build up for this feud. So, what do you think?
I'd actually kind of like to see Ronda actually take it. I'm probably of the minority on this one. It's only going to be her second WWE match. And they've only been pushing her really on a singles match. Did she do a tag, I think, during one of the shows?
Well, she did the WrestleMania debut was the mixed tag with Kurt Angle.
Has she been on TV since? Because I know she's been doing a lot of the live stuff, and she's been doing tag with the live shows, the stuff that isn't aired and isn't necessarily canon. I don't.
Yeah. I think she did something with Absolution, didn't she? She did a match with them, or I don't know. I remember a segment at least, but.
My mind is not focusing on that one. Anyhow, so this her being her second pay-per-view, would it be a good swerve for her to get it? Absolutely. They are really pushing her. as being a face of the company. And an example of that is, they recently held a for your consideration panel for Emmy nominations for several of the shows, including Raw 25. And she has been on these panels, and they have been pushing her as a face of the company, with their publicity campaigns. And Nia was there too. And I'm not going to, knock Nia on that either, because she's a hell of a competitor as well. But I kind of think they may lean towards letting Ronda maybe take the title, and maybe it'll be short run. She has to give her a little taste. Hey, it's good to be champion again. I'm in a brand new sport, and I'd say it is a brand new sport because wrestling is definitely different than MMA. Give her a little taste, and then maybe yank it off of her, and then set up some feuds that way.
I definitely think it is prime that, it's easy to see how Ronda could win this, and it would be kind of the easy route for that, but I think that it might be one of those things where Nia might come out on top, and I think it would be with help, because mainly, I think one of the things that they could play up and would make Ronda an even more dominant champion or powerful champion was that she facing an entire locker room, which I think they kind of teased initially, that she's the outsider coming in and taking their spots. So I think if they play up a locker room versus her type thing and make her I think she might lose by interference, and I think that's probably the more likely scenario, but I wouldn't be sure Ronda did come out with this, but it would completely undo everything they did for Nia Jax, which I wouldn't say is beyond WWE logic, but I think that they will probably do this match again, seeing, to want to kind of at least do this for like another pay-per-view and at least extend the feud out as Ronda becomes less green in the ring and the fans build up and everything. But it could go either way. So next up we have the SmackDown Women's title with Carmella and Asuka, which personally I'd hope for a Charlotte and Asuka rematch from WrestleMania, but we're getting this. And of course Carmella, which she does a great job playing an obnoxious heel.
Yes, absolutely.
I guess I was initially very annoyed by her screaming, and it's part of that gimmick as well. It kind of reminds me back to the way that Vicky Guerrero and even Stephanie, they're screaming and being as kind of obnoxious to get to the crowd. And
absolutely.
I think her work could improve a bit, but this match had completely almost no build really to it, except it was just a random booking that, you're going to face Asuka now because, Charlotte had to deal with I think there was a period where Charlotte had to deal with surgery and then she just got put in the Money in the Bank match. So we're WWE logic again. So who do you think comes out on top, since that Asuka hasn't exactly been treated as a one with the streak as of late since coming to SmackDown?
I kind of think Asuka might take this one, and the only reason I say that is because of what little build they've had. Carmella keeps saying, well, I beat Charlotte, and Charlotte beat Asuka, so that means I can beat Asuka. So, okay, well, if you're that confident in doing the math in your head, you're gonna come out a loser on this one. I think that cocky attitude, I think, is what's going to cause that match to go south for her. And I think Asuka's going to come out on top. I think Carmella's going to do something stupid. And Asuka's going to take advantage of it. She's going to turn her back. She's going to play to the crowd, and Asuka's going to come up behind her, and that's going to be it. She's going to put in that hold, and she's going to be done. And Asuka's going to come out on top. And I don't hate it.
As much as I think that Asuka should win this match, I think given WWE's pattern of the way they treated cowardly heels, I would say Miz would be an example. Carmella, and given the way that she caught with Charlotte, I think she might eke out this one. She's going to find a kind of intuitive way and cheat and win. And again, this will be another thing against Asuka, and unfortunately, much similarly that I think they just don't know what to do with her after the streak. So they're going to try to build her up, but I think in the same time they're going to bank on Carmella being a cowardly champion and kind of. I mean, I think Carmella is essentially SmackDown Alexa Bliss.
Okay. I can see
With
that.
slightly worse mic skills,
Yeah.
but I think that I think she'll come out on top on this more likely, and I'd be shocked if Asuka did win, even though I do see it happening, but I just don't see it for this pay-per-view.
Yeah, but one thing you never do is you never bet on the WWE, because they will throw that curveball at you.
Oh, I was so wrong. My predictions on WrestleMania, it's just...
Yeah. Me too.
But, okay, so next up match with... I guess it's another excuse to put Roman Reigns in the pay-per-view and Jinder Mahal. So, it's one of those few matches that no stakes on the line, just two powerhouses at work here. So, what do you think?
I really want to see Roman take it, and I will admit I am a fangirl. But Jinder Mahal, he had his push for so long, and I don't know how well it went over. But you know what? I can say the same for Roman too. Now that I'm saying the words that are coming out of my mouth. These are two guys that they're just not over with the crowd anymore, and I don't know if putting two non-over guys in a ring together is gonna do anything for either of their popularities. I have a feeling, unfortunately, this is gonna be the match where everybody goes up and gets a snack. This is gonna be the match that people do not care about. And like I said, it's frustrating because they're both great competitors. You know, and Jinder's great on the mic. Roman used, you know, some acting skills, I think, but which breaks my heart. But, I just don't think anybody cares about this match. I just don't. So like I said, I just tossing a coin in the air, and you know, being the fan I am, I'm gonna say I'd like to see Roman take it.
Yeah, both are former world champions. It's kind of a shame that, I mean, literally, the fans, they're a point where they do smarten up with talent and just as far as putting up decent matches, and both guys are capable, but unfortunately spoon-fed aura about them that they're just not over. This match definitely never main event anything, and I think Vince is, at least, if he's learned anything, especially after what happened with WrestleMania, that it was probably the worst received main event in the crowd.
Absolutely.
With him and Brock Lesnar, you know, their 60th match together, you know, to try to care about something you don't, you can't do it. Yeah, this will definitely come off a match that's hot. Definitely not going to be in the last of the card and everything. Okay. So, and I think this is the first pay-per-view where you just had so many individualized matches, which not so much high stakes out there, which I think is good. This will be the first of 3 matches, of course. Now, next I have here on my list is the Bludgeon Brothers with Harper and Rowan versus Gallows and Anderson for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. What do you think?
I'd like to see Gallows and Anderson take it. Another good set of solid competitors. You know, they spent their time in New Japan. Bludgeon Brothers, I mean, they're good. And I do like their gimmick, since the two of them split from the Wyatt family. You know, them doing their own thing, I kind of like what they're doing. But I don't know, I kind of see Anderson and Gallows taking this one. Just, maybe toss it up a little bit, you know. But the Bludgeon Brothers, I think, kind of put you in mind of Braun Strowman, and I go, you know, back with the Wyatt family thing with this, is they're Mack trucks. They just roll through people. But, Gallows and Anderson, I think, they're solid competitors. They're good in the ring. I don't know. I kind of want to see them take this one.
Yeah, I want to see them both take it as well, but I think that the edge will go to WWE more grown guys with the Bludgeon Brothers. I think that's they're more of, I mean, not to say outsiders haven't won the title or anything like that. It's just as far as like getting the due and the credit and everything. Now, this logic kind of comes from the fact that because they don't have anything to do for Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, they gave him the Raw Championship, Raw Tag Team Championship, and those two don't really need the title, but because they're over, they gave him the title. And I think in this aspect, I mean, they're both sides are over, but I think in this case, because they came up through WWE and they were the established guys, I think they have I give to the Bludgeon Brothers to retain in this instance, but I think they'll have a good match.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you with the Vince does want to push the people who have gone through his developmental system. And you call them the outsiders, and I'll say that with quotes, and I'm doing the air quotes on my fingers. That if there's guys that they've brought over from Impact, there's guys that brought over from New Japan, whatever, that they're not getting so much of the pushes that the WWE branders, as that's what I would call them, get, with, Bobby Roode and Finn Balor, he had his runs for a while. The only one of the quote-unquote outsiders that I think they've really pushed in years past has been AJ. But that could be a whole other side story.
Well, I mean, technically speaking, Punk did go through their system as well, but he was a top star in Ring of Honor, and same thing with Daniel, but he was kind of an outsider coming in, and they pretty much built him up through Triple H anyway, so... Yeah, I mean, not to say outsiders don't have a chance, but they do have that little bit more to have to go through. Unless they're super over, they just have to work that much harder. So next up on the card, Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn, and this will be Bobby Lashley's singles return and to pay-per-view for the company since his long departure from it. In view for TNA/Impact. So, yeah, I mean, there's no other reason to see why they won't have Lashley going over at this point. For one, aside from him being more of the WWE grown guy, and obviously Sami Zayn will definitely make this interesting, and he'll make a match out of it. And I mean, pushed or not, his standing on the card, not without question. So how do you think this turns out?
I'm with you that Lashley's gonna take it. I was a little surprised that they picked Sami Zayn as his first real competitor. Sami's good. I mean, Sami's fun to watch in the ring. He's very animated. But I just think Lashley's gonna stomp on him.
Yeah, I just hope that they don't make a squash match, because really on a pay-per-view that people on the network, they're paying $10 a month, but still, I mean, there are places that are paying full price for it, or doing the network, whatever. It doesn't, the squash match, okay, even if it was Undertaker versus Cena, you shouldn't have squash matches on pay-per-views, because it just really rips the fans off. I mean, at least have something to show for it. But I
agree. Yeah, having a squash match on a TV night is fine, because you're trying to cram people into a 2 or 3 hour show. But, yeah, I agree.
I don't expect a marathon, but still, I mean, just at least don't make it come out like where they're just completely irrelevant.
Right.
Like Roman Reigns, what kind of is.
Them's fighting words. Words, Tom.
Alright, so, speaking of former Shield, we have Seth Rollins versus Elias, which I think could potentially be a sleeper match of the night.
I disagree.
Since we obviously expect that the latter matches the Money in Bank matches could definitely be a match of the night. I think this could potentially be a sleeper steal of the night. What do you think?
You know what? Watching Seth Rollins in the ring is amazing. The guy is, he's incredible to watch. I mean, his athleticism is just up there. And Elias, he's great too. He really is great in the ring. And putting two competitors that are solid like that together are just fun to watch. They just mesh together. And I really do think their match is going to be really entertaining. As for who I think is going to take it, I still say Seth retaining. You know, he's deserving of keeping the title, I think.
Yeah. There's no reason to think that Seth doesn't retain on this, but I do see some great things coming for Elias because he's kind of like in the mold of the Honky Tonk Man, Jeff Jarrett, definitely those guys. They definitely sound him with the same gimmick, but I think he's got potential for greater things than those two. But I see where they're going, and he's very much over with the crowd.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just and I think he'll put up a great clinic for this match, but it won't be his time just yet because Seth is he's going to put some additional run on this IC belt. Now, final match on the card, short of a cameo appearance from Brock Lesnar, which will likely not happen.
It won't happen. Not at all.
Yeah, because of scantily defending his Universal title as he has. But we'll get on to that later. Daniel Bryan, and in his, he'll be facing Big Cass, and, well, of course, they did kind of took the lazy path of building this up, and having Big Cass pretty much telling Daniel Bryan that he's a nobody, and okay, you're telling a former world champion he's a nobody, okay, that he's coming back from injury and they're going to try to play up. I'm just kind of wondering how long WWE is going to milk that. I know it's a great thing that he's come back and it's wonderful, but we will need to just kind of build something else up on that. And yes, the whole balance between injuring and intensity, that was what I was looking for, which, just being the masterful tactician that Daniel Bryan is, taking on Big Cass, the whole playing again with Daniel Bryan's familiar territory of David and Goliath thing. But I think there's no way that Daniel Bryan doesn't come out on top.
Yeah, I like the analogy with the David and Goliath thing with these two. And I kind of wonder if, is WWE playing it slow with Daniel, getting him back into the ring? He's obviously not in the ladder match. They kind of put him with Cass because him and Cass came back at the same time. And it was the obvious feud of, well, they're more worried about, Daniel Bryan being back than I'm being back, and that's not fair, and blah, 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 and I get that. And it was an obvious setup. But with putting him with Cass, are they trying to ease him back in? That they're a little scared about his neck and stuff yet? That they're not gonna throw him into things that are super, super competitive, that are gonna, I would say, wear him out, because when he's in his mid-30s, he's not, he's not old by any means, but are they trying to kind of handle him with kid gloves yet?
I don't really think they are necessary, but yeah, one-on-one matches compared to like the chaos of a turmoil of a ladder match definitely is night and day. But honestly, I think they kind of devised a way where they're not going to be taking as intense bumps as they were, and I think it's just kind of a little more rougher regiment than say what Kurt Angle was going through. Kurt Angle took bumps, but they're not putting him in as many high impact spots, and obviously keeping an eye on the spine. They're probably going to do more like limb spots than just say stuff that having to do with like the back and spine. Now there's going to be some huge impact ones, but they're going to definitely protect him as much as they possibly can, and they're not. I don't think they're going to intensify. They want to go up for longevity because, given everything that's been going on and the safety of the matches, I think there is a method to the madness, and I think they're definitely going to change how they come at it with each other, and I think it's kind of like a conditional thing on him coming back, is that, okay, we like what you do, but we just want you to kind of take it a little bit easy and not do as intense things and bumps as you did before. And I think in the long term that will do him benefit, and I don't think we'll lose out. We'll see it to the point where we're not going to notice too much in difference in his matches, but we are going to see less impactful bumps on him, particularly on his back and spine. We're going to see less of those spots. But I think, it is going to be a good match, and it's going to be a build-up. And I think it's one of those things where, again, they're going to probably isolate a part where Daniel gets hurt on, like a shoulder or a leg or something like that. They're going to build the emotion up, and then Daniel Bryan's going to come up with the coup de grace and Big Cass and come out on top.
Okay.
But I did like his promo, like when he did the interview, where he just showed that American Dragon intensity again. That it was just a classic promo. That there was no way that was scripted by creative and how he's going to take down Big Cass. That was
Heart.
one biggest thing I missed. Yeah, the biggest thing I missed about him not being a talent, a wrestler. So, but top and down, I think. Do you think it's strong enough in its own merit, or
The match or the whole
what it is?
pay-per-view?
The whole card.
It's decent. I think it has potential as long as the matches are entertaining enough. They're having the 2 Money in the Banks, I think, they're gonna be the show stealers. They're gonna definitely be the highlights of the night, I think. I think it's gonna be a decent run. I'm hopeful. I'll give it that.
So, any absences, or do you think were shocking from this card that were not there?
They're not doing much with the Usos these days. I was a little surprised to see that they're nowhere on this card. But when you're co-branding these pay-per-views again, you're trying to cram a roster of how many people into I guess they're now 4-hour shows. There's only so much time, and you can't highlight everybody.
It kind of hurts the locker rooms of both brands. I mean, but if you're putting your best foot forward, I guess.
You gotta do what's best.
That'd be
you gotta do what's best for business. Gotta get that McMahon-esque in it. Best for business, and I get it. But yeah, I do agree. I think it kind of maybe even hurts them a little bit because the talent, if they're not on TV, I don't think they're getting paid. So you've got a night off for the Usos.
I mean, does it sound weird that we're getting a high impactful pay-per-view like Money in the Bank and neither the Hardys are on there?
True. I think Jeff's hurt.
Oh yeah, he's still hurt, isn't he?
I think so. Yeah. You've got no Matt and no Bray Wyatt, so we're not going to delete anybody. So okay. I don't know. I mean, I definitely the Hardys in general, both of them, and then they're both separate characters, will definitely be missed. Yeah, I do believe Jeff is still hurt.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, well, we touched upon this earlier with Brock Lesnar obviously not being on this pay-per-view and scantily defending his title, but his reign has been kind of compared to CM Punk in days, but you can't compare the two because given how much of a full-time employee CM Punk was compared to Brock Lesnar, it's just a salt in the wound, but it's a wound that CM Punk doesn't really care about.
Sure.
Speaking of which, CM Punk happened to lose his matchup last night in UFC, and I think a lot of the waves point out that he might be finished, especially the way he's been hyped up and everything. And one thing I did read upon that when talking about his career and talking to Ronda Rousey, is his advice that he gave to Ronda was just to have fun. And what better sound advice than to do that, being a person coming from that environment. Sure. And I think she is having fun, but I'm not so sure if CM Punk is having so much fun now in UFC. So do you think he's truly finished?
Has he won any matches in UFC? Has he come out victorious at all?
He's 0-2.
Okay.
He's not won a single match. He's been trying to train and losing weight, but I think even Dana White kind of put a little bit of little thing towards him in the post-match interview.
Oh. I haven't got a chance to see that yet. I'll check that out here in a little bit. His first match was ages ago, though. And
he spent a lot of time training back, and he lost last night's match by unanimous decision. But I mean, he says he's completely done with pro wrestling, and I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, there's no reason for him to come back, but I mean, provided he saved up his money from his WWE contract, he really doesn't have anything need to. In fact, he probably could be, if he wanted to, he'd probably do acting. I mean, just now he's got a natural charisma about him.
I
But
heard,
as
I heard
far
he was
as
writing comics. I heard he actually was part of Marvel's
yeah,
payroll for a while. So,
I think he was even doing that when he was in
really?
WWE as well. He
Yeah.
had some creative output with that as well, with their own in-house comics.
Yeah.
But I mean, he has creative avenues, and
Yeah.
he's gonna make himself. He's gonna be just fine. And
Oh,
I
and
mean, as far as
I think
like,
he has been. Yeah.
I mean, he did lose his match with in UFC last night. He did win a court case against a civil judgment with him and Colt Cabana against Chris Amon from WWE's Doctor, which they didn't really. It's not that they had personal testimony from the company, but it's just the doctor suing him for, I think, libel, because of reputation taking a hit. Oh, poor, like he doesn't have other patients that, can't pay
Right.
him. But, yeah, he lost a civil judgment with that, and I'm sure it was a black eye for WWE for that. But at least that's up and over with, and maybe down the line it does open the door for him accepting a Hall of Fame induction. But then again, I think the bad blood's still fresh with him in the company.
Yeah,
So
I don't see that going away anytime soon. Him returning to pro wrestling doesn't necessarily mean he has to go back to WWE either, because in all honesty, with the talent we have right now,
New Japan,
New Japan or even ROH, I think he could really pick up some dust in ROH if he went over there.
Yeah, I mean, personally, given his pattern, I don't really see him going back. I mean, he sounds like a kind of a man of his word, and so shocking enough, like Shawn Michaels, he been put on the ring boots, and there really isn't a reason to anymore. And he's reached his phase of his life that, I mean, if you come from his background, like for example, given the way that, I mean, for one, he didn't like his experience at all with TNA and Impact, so he's not going back there. He's been true to his word then, and the fact that how much of a meat grinder professional wrestling has been, that his case of MRSA was neglected all this time, and all they kept doing is cracking the whip towards him. Obviously, his biggest reason to even being associated with pro wrestling is just virtually gone. And then, yes, New Japan would probably be the only thing he would come back to, if that at all. And there's probably like only one person he probably would have a match for, which is Kenny Omega. But even still, at the time in the interview when they talked about his career, he mentions that he almost doesn't really follow the product anymore, and he just name dropped. And as far as what he does, I'm not going to worry about him. He sounds fine, but he's always going to have those detractors and favoritism, because there's always going to be WWE loyalists who take up the side of Triple H that he quit on them, and it's like, and that's the unfortunate thing in the meat grinder, is that you're only as good as what have you done for me lately. And that's just professional sports in general, because it's you hanging up where you could have potentially done more, then they turn on you, and that's the unfortunate truth.
But
Okay, so speaking of people,
his pipe bomb is legendary though. So
and it still rings true.
Absolutely.
To this day. And speaking with people with questionable futures who probably really at this point don't have a reason to stick around, John Cena, we're seeing him take on more Hollywood projects with the trailer for Bumblebee. He's making his more presence in Hollywood known. With I think he was in the comedy Blockers, and I mean he's doing more towards more adult related material, and I think he's also doing a voiceover thing with formerly of Two Broke Girls, Kat Dennings, and
it's a YouTube
this show.
What is it called?
Well, it's a WWE Network thing, but I believe it's also on YouTube as well. But
it's on the network as well? I didn't realize that. Okay.
I think so. I'm not sure, but yeah, he's doing voiceover work, which obviously is kind of easy to do with them.
Ferdinand was a pretty big hit, I thought, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think he was also getting that Amy Schumer film that he got praises for as well.
Oh, what was it called?
So I gotta look up.
But yeah, well, he was in Sisters with Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. He was in Blockers with and Honey Williams too. She's doing a great job.
Trainwreck.
Trainwreck, yes.
It's Trainwreck.
Yeah, thank you.
But as far as like any other bucket list of competitors, they're kind of running thin because Undertaker at Romania, he never faced him in a Mania match before and wasn't really a match at all, technically. So
disappointing.
As far as like any like talents that are lingering around that never really went to WWE, I really don't think there's anyone else out there, and it's not like Kenny Omega has any desire to go work for WWE anytime soon, and we know that Sting's never coming back to in-ring competition, so I think
he run his course?
Literally the pool has run dry, and he's pretty much probably was kind of like the end out for him, and to even stay relevant. And I'm sorry, I'm not gonna watch Total Bellas or anything like that because I don't care for that.
That's fine, and that's your thing. I admit that I do drag my husband to the television. He does watch with me too, much disgust, but no, whatever. I do enjoy it, but as a female wrestling fan, I get it.
Well, the Divas, I don't know what show. It's either one that I don't pay attention to, but hey, to each his own. And if we don't see John Cena again, whatever. He's the mantle of top card wrestler that fans barely care about or mixed reaction. Well, there you go. He gets to have that monkey off his
And
shoulders.
The only thing that concerns me with him not being so prevalent in the WWE is the charity work. He is big with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And he's the celebrity that has hosted, the Granting the Most Wishes. And definitely, the WWE is proud of that fact. And rightfully so. And the WWE does a lot of great charity work. But I kind of wonder if they're still gonna have him doing those things. I mean, he's not gonna be on TV, he's not gonna be on pay-per-views, he's not gonna be wrestling. But for him to still be around to just kind of be a face when they need him, I think would definitely...
It's kind of an ambassador.
Yeah.
I mean, the top stars in the company, the top champions, well, the top baby faces, have always been the best ambassadors, like Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, those guys. They've kind of paved way, and John Cena has been doing great as well. I mean, hell, even during the Attitude Era, you see Stone Cold and The Rock doing those sort of things, and they don't have to be completely their unfiltered raw character. They'll do the great things for the kids, and that's one thing that is really consistent about WWE is that their champions will always be there for their fans.
Yes. Yeah, and I really want to I hope that John continues to do that.
Yeah. So one thing that kind of comes to mind since it's June, and that was a tradition before that Money in the Bank kind of became the new thing, was King of the Ring, which there was a kind of a history with the King gimmick. Even before Jerry Lawler came to the company, that they always had that title of King, and I think the earliest memory I had of it was watching back in the old heyday of WWF when Harley Race was dubbed the King, and there was a title that was paraded around like a belt. Like when Harley Race had it, the theme that they used for him was the same they ended up using for Jerry Lawler. And he kind of, it was kind of his most memorable thing in WWF was his King gimmick in Harley Race, because he's primarily NWA WCW guy. And he was with the Heenan family and everything, and of course other people that came moniker. Randy Savage became the Macho King. He was kind of arguably his best moment as a heel, even better than his time being lost in the shuffle of the NWO, was when him and Sherry, which, speaking of annoying voice gimmicks, she was kind of like the originator of for the female annoying voice gimmick, and it's kind of sad seeing those two gone now, and of course Miss Elizabeth, like all those people. But I mean, he had a very powerful heel run as the Macho King, and I think for a while that kind of went away and it went back to went to the form of the King of the Ring, where we see a number of people. It was kind of like an upcoming thing for the next push. If it wasn't the IC belt, it was the King gimmick. So the most prominent Harts with Bret Hart, Owen Hart, they won. I think Bret Hart was King of the Ring first.
Yes.
Owen Hart used it as a gimmick called the King of Hearts. I think Stone Cold won the King once,
96,
but he didn't run it. Yeah, he didn't run it as a gimmick. I think the only one that failed as a gimmick was Mabel, even though he did have a heel push. He never went anywhere.
Right.
And of course, he later became Viscera as part of the Ministry of Darkness, and that's what they ended with his WWE gimmicks, before his passing. But I think he was the only one he didn't really. Was there other kings that you remember? Oh, there was Booker.
I was going to bring up Booker
T.
King.
Yeah. And he even made his wife Charmel queen.
Yeah.
That worked in his favor before his little falling out with the company.
Yeah, Booker was the one I was going to talk about. Definitely. Yeah, he took that title and ran with it for sure. And he looked good in the Velvet and the Crown. So hey, whatever.
Yeah.
But the King of the Ring is one of those things that just kind of fizzled out. They weren't consistent with it in the 2000s. They didn't do it every year. The last one we had was Bad News Barrett, Wade Barrett, back in 2015, and they haven't done anything with it since.
Yeah, and I don't think that push even as King Barrett didn't work out.
No.
I mean, I think that the League of Nations thing, but that was brief.
Yeah, but the King Barrett didn't go over.
I mean, Wade Barrett himself, he had a good charisma as a heel anyway, as even leader of Nexus. So, I mean, he didn't translate to the King gimmick because, well, he didn't have a staple. Well, with the League of Nations exception, but the Nexus was probably his most successful gimmick for there. But I mean, I think given that how overly inflated the rosters have become, negated the tourney need for King of the Ring, which is unfortunate because it produced some great matches. I mean, do you think they'll ever bring it back, or do you think it's kind of something that should stay in the past?
I'd actually heard rumblings that I thought they were going to bring it back, but I think that they were going to push it more towards their UK brand. That was going to be that was going to be their because they've got the UK title, but they kind of wanted to give them something else too, and I think they kind of were going to push King of the Ring towards the European stuff, but I don't know. I haven't heard much about it.
Yeah, because they would have dedicated rosters overseas and whatnot, and I know that with the women they had the Mae Young Classic, which is good to kind of showcase new and up-and-coming talent to kind of give them a national platform with the network and all.
Right,
so,
and definitely Kairi Sane is a name that people recognize now. I mean, there were how many women in the Mae Young Classic, and there were only a handful of women whose names you remember, and Kairi Sane is one of them.
Yeah, and I believe a lot of them did get signed up to NXT now. I mean, I think it's great that there are more successes than not for NXT brand, but given, like, there's literally almost nowhere to go for certain people, do you think they're calling up too fast, or do you think it's kind of the right pacing?
I think right now they're kind of at the right pacing. I mean, there's always an influx of call-ups right after WrestleMania. May and the month of May is when you get the roster inflation. And that's just typical. I mean, it's hard to fill out a card though, because like I said, if you're not on TV, you're not getting paid type of thing. And I don't know how the contract is, but, you've got Raw, that's a 3-hour show. You've got SmackDown, that's a 2-hour show. And then you're co-branding this pay-per-view again. You're not going to get everybody the airtime that they maybe deserve. If you're concentrating on one storyline, you're really pushing some other people off to the side, and that's not necessarily fair. But with their creative folks, are we a little light on storyline creativity? Like, are people not pushing out storylines that they can tell on TV these days? I mean, I don't really know what they're doing.
Honestly, I think it could be a beneficial thing in the long term because we noticed that not everyone's booked on the program, but at the same time, you can actually, well, you can actually almost have seasons for where people can participate, where you can filter them out, and it doesn't have to be a annual grind all the time. Now you can do the week shows on occasion, but if you're off the card, I mean, you get a little breather.
Oh, that's true, and this is a sport where there is no off season. I mean, these guys are traveling 52 weeks out of the year. They don't get a break.
And what's particularly going to be harrowing with the talent is they're going to have to shift schedules with the Fox deal coming up next year. With SmackDown likely going to be moving to Friday, so that's the initial projection.
Are they going live now, or are they going to film and air? Like
well, if Fox is going to give them $1 billion for it,
they're going to go live.
There's no way they're going to tape it.
Yeah.
So the SmackDown crew is going to have to likely work on Fridays, but I mean they'll probably get off on Tuesdays. So I mean,
their weekends will be in the middle of the week, and then they kind of are as it is anyhow, because the way the typical WWE week goes for the talent, from what I've been told, is you've got your house shows on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then you're doing TV Monday, Tuesday, and then you've got that rest of the week to go home or have a small vacation or whatever, but you're back out on the road Friday morning.
Yeah. Imagine they'll just have to shift around where the house show is going to be, and actually, well, then again, it won't make sense on Tuesdays anymore, but, I mean, I'm sure they'll figure something out. So.
But even Tuesdays, they were rough too. I attended a SmackDown Live, in Pittsburgh back in March, it's a Tuesday night, and kids are still in school, I get that, but honestly, I didn't think the arena was as full as it should have been, but that's just,
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to market something in the middle of the week because of the TV, but you do what you got to work with, and when USA Network is SmackDown on Tuesdays, and it became SmackDown Live. So because it used to be a Thursday and a Friday staple,
and they were filmed ahead of time.
They can't decide on which day to do it, and now it looks like it might be Friday once the Fox deal completes through. So, anyway, thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
You can check us our workout on Monkeys Fighting Robots, and thank you for joining us.
All right, don't forget to hit us up on all of our socials.